We couldn't do all the things that we did without our federal partners. We had a lot of local partners. We had the Colleton County Sheriff's Department, Buddy Hill, Sheriff Hill and his team, providing the security. They did a phenomenal job, and they were there. They were the first responders the night on June 7th, 2021, when Maggie and Paul were butchered brutally. They were the first responders, and they were the first ones to be there. The Charleston County Sheriff's Office, the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office were instrumental in supporting our investigative efforts. You all know Kenny Kinsey, our chief crime scene expert, was with the Orangeburg Sheriff's Office. I also want to thank the city of Walterboro. I think the mayor is here somewhere, and the police department. They provided security. Thank you. This whole community has embraced our entire team, and I cannot thank you enough. We've all been away from our families, 2 hours away from our families for the past 2 months. And it's this community that made us, we would walk into restaurants and people would come up and thank us. You know, you don't have any idea how good that makes people feel when they're under an incredible amount of stress, an incredible amount of scrutiny, and this community really embraced us. I want to thank the Colleton County Clerk of Court, Becky Hill, and her entire team and their staff. I don't know. I call her Becky Booth. That's her nickname. But Madam Clerk, wherever you are tonight. I'm sorry. That's my pet name for her. But I want to thank you, Madam Clerk, for you, the entire team, the bailiffs, the court security, the staff here. There was no role that was too small that they weren't willing to do for us. The security team here, it was a Herculean effort by everybody, and I can't thank enough people. I don't know if I mentioned the bailiffs, but I want to thank them. And there's another group of people who you don't know who they are, but that's the jurors. And not just the jurors, but the alternates, the ones who didn't even get to serve to the very end, but people who were taken away from their families. I want to thank the families of our jurors who sat here every single day for what seemed like long amounts of tedious, monotonous information and evidence. Sometimes people didn't know what it meant. They didn't understand it. And they had to sit there and process it and hear it over and over and over again. And I want to thank these nameless jurors whose identities have been protected. They may make their identities available to all of you at some point, but they sat there and they delivered justice tonight. And I want to thank them for their role in this process. Amen. You know, Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government except for every other kind. I kind of want to adopt that and say we may have the worst criminal justice system in the world, but it's better than every other kind that there is. And our criminal justice system worked tonight. It gave a voice to Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, who were brutally mowed down and murdered on the night of June 7th, 2021 by someone that they loved and someone that they trusted. And they couldn't be here to testify for themselves tonight. Their testimony came through the evidence and the information that was gathered by the men and women of the agencies I've just mentioned. It came from the testimony of the agents and the investigators and the attorneys and the folks in our staff who were able to get it to the court record. And so I want to say tonight, their voice was heard tonight and justice was brought for them. We can't bring them back, but we can bring them justice. Amen. Amen. I started off my remarks by saying that it is a good day in South Carolina. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Today's verdict proves that no one, no matter who you are in society, is above the law. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people doubted that this process would work, and hopefully, for those who did doubt the process, hopefully we have instilled and put a little bit of faith back into you and your lives as you view this process as it unfolds. I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of the men and women standing behind me tonight. And there's been a lot of emotion. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I saw firsthand for the last 5 or 6 weeks the countless nights where you were up beyond midnight and you were getting up before dawn, not eating. I was watching Nancy Grace the other night and I heard her call Creighton pale and gaunt because Creighton wasn't eating and sleeping. He really wasn't, folks. I'm serious. So, you know, we would have to bring in kind bars and things to eat during breaks. But Creighton, Herculean effort, my friend. And I am truly honored to have you on our team. Thank you for being a great leader and a great chief prosecutor. And I would like to invite you to come up here and make some remarks with the folks here tonight.
Thanks, everybody. And I want to start by thanking this guy who's given me and all these folks behind us opportunities to do justice, which is what we want to do with our careers. It is very tough and demanding, but it's rewarding for moments like these. The general stole a lot of my lines, but I also want to thank the jurors for their long and arduous service. And we had no doubt that if we had a chance to present our case in a court of law, that they would see through the one last con that Alex Murdaugh was trying to pull. And they did, and we're so grateful for that. I get to lead the state grand jury section in the Attorney General's office. This particular case is not a state grand jury case. There are other indictments that are state grand jury. But the one thing about that is that I have an amazing team. And I want to be clear, this was a team effort. Y'all saw all of these folks behind me doing amazing work. And I can't be prouder of a team in my life. We called this our Super Bowl, and not because of the media attention, but just because of the effort that we knew that we would have to put into this. And we didn't really get to watch much of the Super Bowl that went on because when we arrived, I think it was winter and it feels like spring now. But every single member of this team, every single member of the state grand jury staff, what we do well is work together as a team in complex investigations. And who we work with is my partners at SLED. And I can't thank them enough as well, because we're used to working on these complex cases and working together. And I'm not leaving out Sheriff Hill and the Colleton County Sheriff's Office and our federal partners in Orangeburg and Charleston Sheriff's Office and all the other agencies that have worked on this case. I also want to thank Ms. Becky, if she's still up there, because she's been amazing. The clerk staff has been amazing. The court staff has been amazing. The bailiffs have been amazing. And again, I also want to thank this community who really has embraced us and has been so great to us and made us able to survive this process that has been long and arduous. And I have been sleeping. I hadn't been. And I have been eating more than Kind bars every now and then. But, and I'm sure that's a nice plug for Kind. But anyway, it really has been a great process. We will have sentencing tomorrow. Obviously, we're not going to comment on sentencing because that's still pending. But justice was done today. It doesn't matter who your family is. It doesn't matter how much money you have or people think you have. It doesn't matter what you think, how prominent you are. If you do wrong, if you break the law, if you murder, then justice will be done in South Carolina. And I think South Carolina has shown the nation and the world how a process can work and work well. Thank y'all.
And also, I want to thank Creighton. I told Creighton, I said, Creighton, I'm going to come down and I'm going to be just a staff attorney. I know I'm your boss. I'm your boss's boss's boss, but I said I'm going to come down and I'm going to help. And I said I'm going to follow instruction. And I hope I was true to my word. This past weekend, I was saying, what can I do to help? I said I'm willing to take a witness if it'll help. He said, actually, it would. So he let an old prosecutor dust off his cleats and get back in the game and to help the team out. And
I got to be the boss of the boss for a while.
Yeah, don't get used to it.
I'm not used to it.
No, but in all seriousness, I'm proud of the decisions that I made in putting the people behind me and to the left and right of me in charge of this case. And I was honored to be part of this team. Just another member, just another worker bee in the trenches trying to bring justice to the people of this state and to bring justice to the people who couldn't be here tonight because they were brutally murdered by someone they trusted. Now, with that being said, I know a lot of people want to talk to us. A lot of people want to talk to some of the attorneys and the support staff and the agents, investigators here tonight. Some of you want to talk to me and others. We're going to make ourselves available to you. But like Mr. Waters just said, tomorrow there's a sentencing hearing, and we don't want to get out in front of our skis. And plus, I'm starting to feel the rain come down. But I promise you, we're going to make ourselves available to talk to members of the media, to talk to all of you out there that have questions. We'll answer any questions that we ethically can. We hope you'll continue to be patient with us as we finish this process tomorrow. Again, we're going to go back and get a good night sleep tonight. But again, thank you. I'm going to also, one last group that we didn't thank, the media. You all, I know a lot of people in this, polarizing world we live in, a lot of people take shots at the media, but the media was incredibly respectful. You were so good, not just to us, but listen, to the families of the victims, okay? I know this is an awkward situation, but, you protected the identities of people and, you protected the process. And I want to thank you for your part in this and telling the stories, educating the public on what's going on out there. So now I'm going to stop speaking as an attorney general, and I'm going to close as a father and as a husband to say that when you go home tonight, hug your loved ones, Amen. Hug your spouse, yes. Hug your children, because this case reminds us of anything that you can't take for granted that people in your family are always going to be there. And right now, when I get home tomorrow, I'm going to hug mine, and I hope you hug yours. But thank you again. Thank you for your prayers.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your prayers. You came and prayed for me. I see a lot of people come up and say, we're praying for you. Yes, we appreciate your prayers. Thank you all so much. And this is going to conclude this press conference. We look forward to talking to all of you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to let you go right here. I just want to thank you and your staff. Y'all did a good job. God bless you. Thank y'all very much. Thank y'all. And thank the media.
All right, Brian Buckmeyer, there you are. Proud prosecutors brought me back to the day, Brian, when you have those press conferences. I was saying to you when it started, ladies and gentlemen, please don't think that this was not a completely orchestrated thing. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it is very, very important. As you can see, Brian, a lot of law enforcement agencies are involved. A lot of people participate. Some people think that the government has too much resources and things, and defendants don't. But you have to be very, very careful in this environment to make sure you thank all the various people that participated. And it can be daunting because there are so many people. The Attorney General, I think, did a very good job. I was very impressed with the comment he made, and I'd like to agree with it, among other comments. But he said, I think it was the AG or the prosecutor, that they were proud of how they did it and how it showed the rest of the world. I think they ran a really good trial. I think it was sophisticated. I think the lawyering was great on both sides. I thought they did a great job, but I think that they were proud of that, Brian. I think that they wanted the world to see that we're not, kind of reminding me of my cousin Vinny. We have ever a sophisticated system of justice as you do in New York. What do you think?
Yeah. So I'll say this. I'm a public defender. I'm defense orientated. If you've heard my commentary, I am always critical of the prosecution because my belief is that a strong defense makes sure that the prosecution gets it right. I will continue to be critical of all prosecutions, probably because it's fun, but it's also, if I'm critical and they get it right, then I know they got the right person. And I think in this situation, our criticism of the prosecution poked holes, saw where they were weak, but saw where they were strong. And I think that they did get it right. And I think that this is their opportunity to get up there and say, thank you to everyone. Thank you to the people who participated. Thank you to law enforcement. They said thank you to media. I think that includes me and you, so I'll take that as well. But I think they did a great job here. I think there's obviously shortcomings that I highlighted throughout the coverage of this, throughout the entirety of the show and in the past. But overall, I think that justice was served here. I think there are still some questions that I may have asked, but I don't think there was any reasonable doubt here. I think at the end of the day, the guilty verdict makes sense. But who cares what I think? The jury is the one who decided, and that's what they thought was correct.
Justice was done today down here in South Carolina, and it was the defendant's one last con, as was indicated to us. Well, you guys know, Brian, that we have boots on the ground out there, including Gigi McKelvey, who was actually there when the verdict was read. And while we're trying to get her up, because we were Law Crime Network, you got Gigi, everybody was just really, really there, making sure that we knew on the cutting edge when this was going to happen, including Anjanette. So let's go live and take a look at the verdict, and we'll come back on the other end, hopefully with Gigi.
The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116. Okay. Guilty verdict. Signed by the forelady, 3/2/23. Docket number 2022-GS-15-00593, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions, the July term of 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116. Verdict, guilty. Signed by the forelady. Date 3/2/23.
Okay, I tell you, I saw a look on that face, a little wobbly there in my mind, ashen, and I personally thought he was going to go down. But, you know, what do I know? Gigi McKelvey is our correspondent out there for the Law and Crime Network, having done a great job with Ann Jeanette. Gigi, you were there. What was the tension like? I felt like it was cut through a knife over here all the way in studio in New York. Talk to me about it. And am I right? Was he getting wobbly? He looked shaky up there.
Yeah, and I have to say, just as we were waiting on family to get there and for everybody to get seated, he looked very jerky from behind. You could just tell he was very nervous. There was a FaceTime there at the defense table. I don't know with who. We heard it. We couldn't see specifically who it was. John Marvin was not in attendance. It was his sister, Lynn, her husband, Buster, and his girlfriend. It was just so tense. Lots of nerves in that family. They just looked very uneasy. Buster very stoic. And then when it was read that he was guilty on all counts, when they cuffed him and he turned around, Alec got very, very emotional, red-faced, teary-eyed, looked directly at Buster and said, "It's okay. I love you." And Buster looked down and was fighting back tears. It was very emotional in there, very tense. The family, Buster was rubbing his girlfriend's shoulder at times. She was kind of looking up at him, especially after that guilty verdict every now and then. Just very tense in that courtroom. We kind of thought it was going to be a verdict. We didn't know for sure, but there was so much more security than normal in there. There were officers posted behind the family all along every door, which we knew was different. So it became clear really quickly we were here for a verdict.
Yeah, Gigi, I mean, listen, something that as Meyer and myself were waiting here to see if a verdict came, we were absolutely convinced as trial lawyers that this was going to be either maybe a question or more likely, can we go home? But this verdict came out really fast. And when we heard it was a verdict, because you guys were the first ones to be reporting that out, we were like, wow, somebody lost big time. And we suspected it was the defendant. Were you guys shocked down there too, how fast this went?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, they've sat here for 6 weeks. I didn't think that they would take a week or even tomorrow. So a lot of us down here really thought maybe by the end of the day today, we would have a verdict. We just kind of had a feeling. The jury's been looking really tired this past week, and it's been a long marathon. And I think they were just ready. They've heard it. I don't think there was really much to discuss unless you had somebody that was holding out. But they did do some work in there. They requested the TV monitor to watch some videos. So I think maybe they just took a moment to look over something, maybe one or more questioned. But man, that was a quick verdict. And as soon as when the officer came in and told us there will be no reaction when the verdict is read, that was the first time we knew for sure it was a verdict. And then we all kind of looked. And at the same time, he made very clear if there was any reaction from the public, we would be escorted out really quickly.
Yeah, you know, I think this judge handled this courtroom extremely well, very professionally. The lawyers were very professional. We could argue about little things here and there. Everybody could talk about something in trial. I thought this was a really fair fight, and it was a very, very sophisticated presentation. The judge kept great control of the courtroom. But let me ask you, when you're there and that verdict is coming out, did you tend to see any more or less of a reaction from one side or the other? In other words, did you see defense attorneys that were nervous?
Everybody looked nervous. I have to say the SLED agents, every one of them looked like they had been in the sun for 8 solid hours. Red-faced, pacing a little bit, just kind of nervous chatter. And you could hear a pin drop when that verdict was read. So I think that there were nerves on all sides. You could just see it. It was very palpable. You could almost cut it with a knife in there.
Okay, and we have a minute left, but when actually the verdict was read, were there any eventual sighs of relaxation or outbursts or anybody saying anything shortly after that?
Not a word, not a sound. It was very quiet. I think that even though most people expected this verdict, just to hear guilty after 6 long weeks at a trial, which was supposed to be 3 weeks, it's kind of like, wow, we're here and it's over. And so now we know sentencing is tomorrow morning at 9:30, which that got a few sighs out of the courtroom. But otherwise, when that verdict was read, no, you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, I got to tell you something that surprised me, GG's. You got the verdict tomorrow. They're going to be going right into the sentencing. You have done an amazing job, the whole team down there. You guys came out in front of this right from the beginning, got us ready to be able to do this cover. So thank you, GG. And that is going to be up for us right now. We're going to take a quick commercial, come back on the other end, and have more of this fascinating verdict. Please stay with us.
And I've talked to probably hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people. Almost all of them thought he was guilty. There are those who, like media people and attorneys, who were not so sure because they were looking at it, I think, from more of a educated kind of perspective. And I think that those of us that were in the courtroom, where it wasn't our jobs to analyze those things, we're just using our emotions. And I think that that's what the jury was doing. And so I never felt like there was going to be a hung jury. I always felt very confident that he was going to be convicted. And I am so glad.
What do you think? I'm thinking about Maggie and Paul right now. I feel like they got lost in this, and that happens in these
You know
trials.
what? And that's really unfortunate, but I'll tell you one thing that I think. I think that if it were not for that video, if it were not for the video, we would not be here right now. It might be a lot later, it might not be at all. But Paul was able to speak for he and his mom, and I think that is so important.
Thank you, Marcy.
You're welcome.
We'll see you in the morning.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you? I have to go do a hit for Dan.
She texted me that you were.
Oh,
They were asking me, and then I didn't know if we were already done.
oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't need that.
I gotta find
You want me to take that beat?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, we should probably start wrapping up or cleaning up.
the lead investigator.
Yeah, they're not going to talk tonight.
No, his wife wanted stickers and.
She likes your podcast. Oh, that's hysterical.
He's like, we've listened to it so much.
Oh, great. When he's done with them, because I told him I wanted to talk to him. Okay. Interview him. I forget who he was. I don't know. Lawyer. Okay, I don't.
Does he even represent you?
I don't know. He's involved somehow in this thing.
I hope they're rolling on us.
Senator, he
Be seated.
I understand that there is a verdict. You may bring the jury. Thank you. Madam Forelady, if you'll stand for me. Have you reached a verdict?
Yes, sir, we have.
Is it unanimous?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, if you will pass it up to the clerk, who will pass it to me. And you may be seated. The defendant will rise. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdict, starting with the back, not with the, let's see, tell you again. Starting with the back, flipping them over one by one. State of South Carolina versus.
Docket number 2022 GS 15-00592, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions in the term of 2022, July, the State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116. Guilty verdict. Signed by the forelady, 3/2/23. Docket number 2022-GS-15-00593, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions, the July term of 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116, verdict guilty, signed by the forelady, date 3/2/23. Docket number 2022-GS-15-00595, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, Court of General Sessions, July term 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, SC Code -16-23-0490, CDR code 0549, verdict guilty, signed by the foreperson of the jury, date 3/2/23. Docket number 2022 GS-15-000594. The State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, Court of General Sessions, July term 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. SC code 16-23-0490. CDR code 0549. Verdict guilty. Signed by the foreperson of the jury, 3/2/23.
Thank you. Madam Forelady and members of the jury, if that is the verdict of each and every juror, please let it be known by raising your right hands. All right, thank you. Any individual polling requested? Madam Clerk, you'll need to individually poll the jury according to their juror numbers.
Number 193. Was this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 254. Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 326. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 530. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 544. Was this your verdict? Is it still your verdict? Juror 572. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 578. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 589. Was this your verdict? Is it still your verdict? Juror 630. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 729. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Buster's on that crack
Juror
game.
826. Was this your verdict? Is it still your verdict?
Kathy, thank you so much.
Juror 864. Was this your verdict? Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Your Honor, the jury has been polled.
Thank you. The jury has been polled and the verdict is a unanimous verdict. If you will bring the alternate juror out and have her have a seat in the audience, please.
Yeah, this is wild watching because, like I said, I was out here live, so I wasn't able to watch the the reading of the verdict. Well, I was listening to it in one of the media tents over here. Let me throw my earbuds in. Maybe I can hear better. But I appreciate you guys, all the stars, the donations.
Stand there, or you can sit
helping
back
make it.
there,
So,
whatever you prefer. Okay.
not sleeping in my car tonight.
Are there any post-trial motions?
We would just renew our previously argued motions for a directed verdict, and at this on the grounds on those grounds we would make a motion for a mistrial and set aside the verdict.
Okay. Can you guys still hear me? Okay.
By the state response.
Your Honor, based on our previous arguments, we would submit that the case properly went to the jury and the verdict is proper, and would rely on those arguments.
We've been here now 28 days, first few days of jury selection, and the remainder receiving testimony, an overwhelming amount of testimony and evidence that was presented to the jury for the jury's consideration. As I indicated to the jury during the jury charge, the charge on the law, that this was a matter solely for the jury to determine. The court found at the end of the state's case that there was sufficient evidence to find the defendant guilty if the evidence was believed by the jury. Likewise, at the end of the defense's case, when the motion was renewed, the court found that the evidence was sufficient for the jury to find the defendant guilty. The jury has now considered the evidence
Kathy Beach, thank you
for a
so much.
significant period of time, and
Wicked psych.
the
You're not happy
evidence
about this,
of
huh?
guilt is overwhelming, and I deny the motion. Mr. Murdaugh, you now having been found guilty of 2 counts of murder involving your wife and your son, 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, the burden now comes upon the court to impose a
What do you guys think is going to
sentence.
be the sentence now? That's what I'm curious about.
Given the lateness of the hour and the victim's rights that must be taken into consideration and complied with under the Victim's Bill of Rights, and consider what I would anticipate to be a number of people who might have something to say regarding sentencing.
There's going to be victim impact statements, yeah.
To a later date.
I would imagine.
Of course, the minimum sentence for murder is 30 years. The maximum sentence is life imprisonment. That's for each count. And on the weapons charge, the sentence is up to 5 years or 5 years, which has to be concurrent if a life sentence is imposed. When would you all like to reconvene for sentencing? I would like to give everyone an adequate opportunity to prepare for it.
So it'll be ready at 9:30 in the morning, Your Honor.
You and I, the only GSW1 out of Georgia, state is only for probation violation in the U.S.
I'll do it at 9:30 tomorrow morning also.
All right, the defendant is remanded to the custody of the Colleton County Sheriff's Department.
Oh, it's that moment right there. Getting cuffed up. Yeah, who knows? Give a victim impact. I don't know at this point who would give a victim impact statement.
And he may be taken away.
Rocket, he's a tough. Yeah, Judge is probably gonna go max, especially with how he put on theatrics and the whole show. It's crazy. Crazy. Alex is tall, yes.
Madam Foley and members of the jury, I want to thank you on behalf of the citizens of the state of South Carolina and your fellow citizens of Colleton County. You did not volunteer for this service. You were called upon by being summoned to appear, and Providence have brought you to this moment in time and these weeks in time. I know that all of you have been here at great sacrifice, particularly the juror whose job was on the line until a miracle happened, I guess, that allowed him to be able to leave rather than leave after 2 or 3 weeks. But I want to thank each one of you all individually and collectively. It's not often that you're called upon to
I didn't realize his judge lost his son
the actions of your
recently.
fellow man, but you all responded, and it gave due consideration to the evidence. I will make no comment now as to the extent or the overwhelming nature of the evidence, but certainly the verdict that you've reached is supported by the evidence, circumstantial evidence, direct evidence, all of the
I'm not sure what
evidence
happened to his son.
pointed to only one conclusion. That's the conclusion that you all reached. And so I applaud you all for, as a group and as a unit and individually, evaluating the evidence and coming to a proper conclusion as you saw the law, as you saw the facts. Now that you've served for the next year, you're not eligible to serve again. Now, of course,
Not
many
eligible.
people never get called upon.
I don't think this is
But you're not eligible
something
for the
anybody
next
really
year,
wants to
and
do
for 2
again.
additional years, you can be exempted from service because no person is required to serve on jury duty in this court more often than once every 3 years. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, we will reconvene for sentencing. You all have no role in that because that's solely up to the judge, to me. You're welcome to come back if you want to and be a part of the audience, if you like. I also want to thank the alternate juror who was locked away in a room by herself for these hours, who's hung in there during that period of time. I want to thank you as well. Madam Clerk, what do you have to tell your jurors?
Thank you for your service and what the judge said as well. And I think we can release them tonight and bring them back in the morning.
No, they're off duty. They're off jury duty. They can come back if they like, and you don't have to if you don't want to. Typically,
they locked him up. They came in quick. They took Alex away.
Wanting to see the end result of
Martha,
the case.
they came in, 2 officers, right? Turned him around and started cuffing him up before he even had a chance to give anyone a hug or high five. He was
at the start of the case. Yours are really like, whoa, why am I here? I wish I wasn't selected. But as time passes and the jurors become invested and really committed to the case and committed to seeing it through, and are very disappointed when they are not able to see it to a conclusion. And then along the way of serving, you end up finding out quite a bit about our judicial system and learning quite a bit, about human nature for sure, but also about the presentation of evidence and hearing from expert witnesses and really learning a lot of things that you'll be able to take with you when you leave jury duty.
Yeah.
And, Madam Forelady, I don't know if you were hesitant initially or not, but you have stepped up to the plate and done a great job of leading the jury as well. And, thank all of you. So the jury is dismissed. Now, one thing before you go, of course, we have invested a lot in maintaining the privacy of the jury, of each one of you. And you are free at this point to discuss the case with anyone. Given the high profile nature of the case, I'm certain that the many people in the media will probably want to communicate with you, but they have no means of contacting you because under order that I issued, the identity of the jurors must be kept.
They've been out here floating
private.
around a little bit.
And if you decide that you want to
but now it's in a
speak
situation
with
where
anyone,
he's been found guilty.
local,
All of the
state,
lies,
nationally,
all
or
of the bullshit,
internationally,
all the tears,
that's your prerogative. However, should anyone harass you, please let me know and I will address those issues. If anyone through the somehow or another discover your identity and harass you,
who is showing their faces on the
rest
media.
assured I'll intercede on your behalf.
All guilty.
That having been said, you are free to communicate with whomever you might want to concerning the case from now on. And so with that, thank you, and you all are free to go.
I didn't see. Well, the thing is, Marla, at this point, once they're free to go, like they've been released, so it's really not
And
an issue.
as is
So
my
like the
practice,
Mark
I'll speak
Jensen
with the
trial,
fourth person before you leave the building after
when
talking to them
they
back there.
forgot to mute the audio, and then they had that juror announce themselves and spell their name, which when I brought it up to the judge, they, he kind of brushed it off, so it's not a big deal. The thing is, like, it's not really about not knowing who the jurors are. It's about them not engaging in any conversation or any types of research that is going to jeopardize their ability to be effective at their duty. So
Recess till 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Well, then they came outside, so I mean, it was not a far shot from them just being done with it. That's it. That's wild. I'm amazed, honestly, with how quick that jury came back with deliberation. That's wild to me. I guess they had to take a vote too, because in the courthouse here, they had a picture up inside here that was the sorry, it's on the other side here. What am I doing? Anyway, somewhere back in here, they had the family photo up of the Murdaughs, Murdaugh, whatever you want to say, and they had to kind of do a group vote and take it down. So, kind of striking. It's interesting. Check it out. So I'm not sure who. Got Stephen D. Murdaugh here. They got these people look familiar. I don't know if he's family or not, but he's on the list. But it's clearing out a little bit, which is kind of nice. Man, I gotta say, it's so aggravating with the major media when they have these live view packs, and what it does is it sucks up the bandwidth, so it shuts down my feed if I'm just running off a cell phone, which is what I do when I'm running and gunning. So. Yeah, the family's been a part, like Sarah was saying, a part of this court for generations. So it's not a shocker. Also, guys, here's something you don't want to do is eat yogurt at 4 o'clock in the morning from the airport on a plane and then hit turbulence for like 2.5 hours. It's going to ruin the rest of your day. I can tell you that right now. But for those who weren't sure, I'm here live outside of the Colton County Courthouse, right here in the what do they call it? The front porch of the Low Country. It's a memorial to law enforcement officers that have passed away. This tree, I'm not gonna lie, super cool. The South down here is amazing, though. I'm looking forward to tomorrow still. I mean, even though they have the verdict out, I'm still looking forward to getting out and checking out some of the sites. Like I was talking about earlier, the
Justice has been served. Justice has been served. Thank you, Lord.
sorry, you can still hear.
Thank you.
Oh boy,
Thank you.
I don't know how to turn that off. So let me see if I can do that for you. Any okay, there we go. That's what I needed. Thank you, appreciate it. So, what's any questions, comments, concerns going into the after trial verdict of guilty on all charges, including the enhancements? So, obviously the enhancements are going to kick in, but they're looking at 30 minimum up to life for each count. So 60 years dead, not making it out of prison, plus 5 and 5, so 70 years, or 2 back-to-back life sentences. I don't think the judge is going to give him a chance to see the light of day at all. I'm feeling pretty confident that he rode the bench the way he needed to. Then after watching the theatrics that Alex Murdaugh put in, there's no way that it's going to go. He's going to get the full bench thrown at him. There's no way that he doesn't at this point. So tomorrow, though, I'm looking forward to. I'm going to go check out Moselle in the morning. Well, first we have sentencing, so I'm going to have to get this set up so we can simulcast. So what I'd like to do is have sentencing playing, and then if I would like to see if Moselle has any type of reception out there, so that I know it's pretty shoddy, so but if I'm able to get out there and do it at the same time, we can show you both while it's happening. So then we can kind of get a look at the town, and then I want to head over towards Beaufort and check out some of the area over there, the bridge from the boat accident, as well as the Stephen Smith, the road that happened on. Just some of these things that we've seen in these documentaries, as well as things that have been brought up during this trial that I haven't had a chance to see firsthand. And being here in South Carolina, there's really no reason why I shouldn't. Plus just the sights out here. It's an amazing place. It's an old world like vibe built on top of an old country vibe that's just infused with like salt of the earth type folk. So I'm looking forward to chatting up with some more people and getting the lay of the land, if you will, for the lay person, as they've said. Just walking around with my bright ass light right now, guys. Appreciate you guys sharing the stream too. Throughout the day. It's been a long one. I was up. I never got a chance to go to sleep, so just ended up going to the airport at about 3 o'clock this morning. Hopped a plane from Chicago to Atlanta. Got a car in Atlanta. Drove 4.5 hours from Atlanta to here, to the Colleton County Courthouse, and immediately started doing what we're doing there now. So it's been a hell of a day. But it's winding down, man. Winding down. I love the Court TV folks brought in their own cabin. Like, they were not playing around. Everyone else is tented up. Court TV said, nah, we're packing a cabin. Oh, yeah. Oops, my bad. I would stick around and do whatever all this is. I want to sit on a cool chair like these guys over here and have the panel. I don't know, Buster looked like he was pretty emotional. He was shedding some tears as they read the verdict, but he had to know. At this point, he had to know. I don't think there's anyone in that family that didn't know. He had to know. So this is more or less like, it sucks that Daddy's going away for good. Also, well, at this point, there's no meal ticket for Buster coming from his pops. So that ship has sailed. So who knows what he's going to do now? You know what I mean? It clipped my finger. It got me. I can't get it off. Son of a bitch. Anyway. What to do? Well, I tell you what, guys. I'm going to go ahead and take a little walk, actually. I'll let you guys come with me. I'm going to take my tripod on a field trip. You guys can come be a part of this with me. We're going to bop around the corner to the car. We got to grab some food. I'm starving, man.
Yeah, it's on the dry stool.
I'll set it back over here.
I don't know if this one, I don't know.
Dropping everything. This is the entrance where Alex was coming out every day. You know, that's that gate right there. That's he'd bop through, and they'd have the van over here waiting for him. They've got this whole special forces team out here. That's, you know, they're special security guys that have been doing. They were actually incredibly friendly, man. Like super cordial. Really just, you know, they shot from the heart. They were, you know, addressed the media properly, which I thought was refreshing. Because normally you kind of get, you know, you get slapped down when you're just trying to do, you know, your job. But here in Walterboro, they do things different. Welcome. Some of the towns I passed on the way in, though, guys, were wild. I'm talking like full on, like just, it seemed like there had been a massive storm or some type of apocalyptic plague that had made its way through. And in all fair, it was just, I think it was just the lay of the land. But it was bad, like really bad. Not as bad as I need to pee right now. So we're going on a hike. Y'all, you're coming with me. Listen to those cicadas. So yeah, if you guys know of any sites down here, things that would be cool to check out, let me know. I would love to pop around and see them. This is probably not where I should be walking around. This place is hella sketch. Hella sketch. All right, bear with me for a minute here. And now I'm back. I'm gonna flip this around so you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at here. Somehow. Yeah, I get that. 1 second. There we go. Now we're in the money business. Yeah, flip the camera here real quick for you guys. This is like behind all of those downtown buildings there. Here in Walterboro, South Carolina. All right, let me flip this around again. So what I think I might do is, hey, damn, that's so bright. Can't see nothing, y'all. Posted them before you see your research. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got you. Jessica, I'm glad you're out of the hospital. 1 second. There we go. That's what I need. Oof. So what I think I might do is try not to. Look at this stuff, man. It's pollen. Apparently, that's what locals are telling me. I don't know if I believe it. But what I'm gonna do is kind of drop everything off here and then grab some food because I'm wicked hungry. And then maybe I'll make a drive out to Buford or something like that for food. I'm not sure. Got to sit down and make some calls here real quick. Kind of figure that out. But man, okay. Either way, I appreciate you guys tuning in this evening so far. I might be back on here a little later. Jessica, you're very welcome, and I appreciate everyone for helping make this possible. You know, the contributions help get me down here and get me set up with a spot to stay tonight. You're amazing. You guys are incredible. And I will be the guy with the puppies in the van. I will, if there's a dude with puppies in the van, I'm getting in that van. So that's just, yeah, Crystal Ray, I do plan on going to Moselle. I haven't been yet. So that's tomorrow or later tonight. So that's the plan. But 24 different sites and addresses. Well, it looks like I got some reading to do at dinner. So between now and when I come back, you guys, thank you so much for being a part of this community, for being so incredible about sharing the stream and helping to contribute in any way that you do. It makes a world of difference, and I appreciate all of you for helping make this a healthy and happy environment to spend some time with each other. You know, even if it does have to be about something as terrible as multiple homicide with a real deviant piece of garbage. We find some fun in the cracks, though, right? We'll figure that out. So if you would, please share the stream, guys, and we will be back here shortly. So I will see you guys very, very soon. Take care.